Tony.
Hey, John, how you doing, man?
I'm doing all right.
Good. You're kind of sideways there.
Am I sideways? I thought if I put it sideways, you could see more of the banjo. Do I need to have it straight up?
Well, I think you ran into that with that.
Is that how I did it before?
Yeah,
I
but
need
it worked before. You did get to see your banjo long ways
Okay.
on the pickathon.
Yeah, you're sideways to me.
Yeah, man.
So let me see if I can fix it.
Yeah, so I'm on a laptop. Is there a setting on your phone for orientation lock? Do you have an iPhone or a
I've got an iPhone.
iPhone?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that's gonna work. I don't know. I don't know how you did it. It did
My
work.
thing's hold on. Mine's looking weird. Mine is looking weird. All of my stuff is crooked. Hold on. Did that work?
That's better. Yeah, that's way better.
I did was straighten the phone up and then turned it back. That's all I did.
Yeah, that fills it out in both directions. So
Does this work?
Oh,
then?
yeah, that's awesome. That's perfect.
And I can probably do this little number too.
Yeah, that was really cool to be able to see the top
Yeah.
the top end and see what was going on up there on the pickathon. I didn't get to see that, but Carla shared all the videos with me, so that was
all
cool.
right. Good.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
had
it's all
something going
new.
on that day. That was like the Friday after Thanksgiving, wasn't it?
Saturday, maybe
Saturday?
Saturday after Thanksgiving.
Yeah, all my kids were in town. We were out hiking around somewhere doing something kind of wild. I didn't think about it until the last minute, and I was like, "Oh man, that's going on right now."
Yeah, that was a trial run for me, a Zoom class. This will be my second time at doing a Zoom.
Yeah, the recording was really hard to see the motion of your hands. I don't know what was going on with that, but your connection right now is really good. Were you in a different place?
I was actually in a place where I thought I had better connection before. I was at the shop before, and to me, the shop should have better connection. I'm just in my bedroom here, and I've actually been worried about it not being as good here because of just this room is it's up and down. It just depends.
Yeah.
It depends on if the kids are doing school or not.
Yeah, really.
Because they're all doing the online school and stuff.
Well, for right now, it seems pretty good. It seems like, I'm not seeing any kind of lag. Before, like you could like only see your hand like move like that much on the.
Oh yeah. So there was okay. All right. Yeah. So good. Well, I was gonna just maybe.
That's awesome.
Does that work pretty good?
Yeah, that's good. That's really good. Awesome. How you been doing?
Oh, just going to work every day and coming home every day.
Business going home, okay?
Staying out of public places, and staying out of crowds, and just I have to go to the store. I just slip in there with my mask on and try to slip out.
Yeah. Well,
business has actually been going really good. Actually, it's almost like the pandemic has filtered people to tattoo shops. Just because well, for one, we're one of the only places around that actually has to. Well, I mean, everybody's got to enforce all these pandemic rules, but it's been a real challenge to have to enforce the rules onto the public, be the one in charge of having to be like, no, you have to wear a mask before you can come in here. You know what I mean? That's been the biggest challenge. Most people are pretty good about it. Every once in a while you get someone, who doesn't believe in it and all this stuff, and they get ticked off or something, and
yeah, I saw that happen to you real early on, and I saw a bunch of people come to your defense too, which was really cool. Yeah.
Unfortunately, just that kind of stuff is widespread right now, so I don't know.
Yeah, I work for the health department, so we're swimming in that since last February. But today we were doing vaccination clinics for. I was working with vaccination clinic for first responders. So so they're like the third tier down, and we're spreading it out as we get more vaccines in. So we'll be doing vaccinations for healthcare workers for the next maybe 3 weeks or so after this week.
That's good.
So it's filtering out. It's
I actually tattooed a healthcare worker who had already received the vaccine.
Yeah. So it's pretty cool.
So yeah, hopefully, I can't wait to get all this behind us. And unfortunately, it looks like 2021 might be a rocky one.
Yeah. Well, one thing it's done for me is it's given me a lot of time to practice. The Lonesome John has really been a lot of fun, and seeing how different people interpret things different ways and take, what you teach and kind of put their own little spin on it. It's been great. But also like you're honoring the history and tradition of this music too, and teaching the way that Lee taught you and George taught you. So I see Lee's album cover right behind you.
Oh yeah. Well, Lee's in the hospital. Man, I got a message today that somebody told me he had a brain aneurysm, and I couldn't confirm it. Man, that's bad. I couldn't confirm it. I responded, and they said, John, I don't know if you know this, but Lee's in the hospital. He had a brain aneurysm. And I responded with, I know that Lee is in the hospital because he fell and broke his hip. I wasn't aware of any kind of brain thing. And and they haven't responded to me yet. That was some news I got today.
Goodness. Yeah. Well, it's hard to hear that, man.
I did get a package from George Gibson in the mail.
Nice.
This here, I don't know if you can see this. Can you read that?
Can't read it, but Jack Bunch Project. Yeah, look at that. So that's been that's like 20 years old now, isn't it?
This 2019 it says on it.
2019. Okay. I thought Jack Bunch was way earlier.
I mean, he's been around a long time. He's in Kentucky, he's over around the London area.
Okay, nice.
But his uncle, I got a record somewhere and I played, and we're actually going to be doing his uncle's version of a tune today. Cool. His Uncle Henry had a lot of cool old tunes that Jack learned, and Jack's got a lot of really good, interesting tunings, and he can play the fiddle as well.
Nice.
So it looks like there's 2 CDs in here. It looks like one says songs and fiddle tunes on the first CD.
Wow.
And then CD 2 is just banjo tunes.
Wow.
There's some pretty good looking tunes on there.
Nice.
And it's got Callahan on here. That was his uncle's tune that we were gonna learn. I wonder if I play. I always mix. I hear the tune for a minute, and then as the version I get worked up on, I'll go back and listen to the recording and notice something so different all the time.
Yeah.
And Callahan's one of those tunes, man. There's a million different little versions of that go around, depending on if you hear from a fiddle player or banjo player or whatever.
Well, you can get lost in Digital Library of Appalachia looking up different versions of old field recordings of tunes, and even newer recordings, festival recordings and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, hi, Cynthia.
Nice.
Looks like there's Evan and Melanie on there too.
Let me see if I can see them. I only see you right now, Tony.
Okay.
I see some names on there.
Yeah, there we go. There's Evan. Hey, Evan.
How's it going?
It's good.
Anybody know how do you have to choose to be seen?
Yeah, you got to turn on your camera and turn off your
being
camera.
seen right now.
Yep. There's Miss Melanie.
How would you like us tuned?
Oh, tuning. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, I have my banjo tuned in G right now, so I figured we'd do some basic little G things, just kind of get warmed up and used to a few things, Can you guys hear me good? Everybody that's in here? I try to do my best as far as the technology and stuff. I was just talking to Tony. I just got a recording in the mail from George Gibson. Is the Jack Bunch project here. I really, Jack Bunch is a musician I met a couple of times, but his uncle Henry was a very good banjo player, and Jack is an excellent fiddle player as well. There's actually 2 CDs, one with songs and fiddle tunes and one with just banjo tunes. So I really can't wait to listen to that. Just came in the mail from Mr. George R. Gibson. My other banjo mentor is in the hospital. He broke his hip. You know, he's 90. Will he be 93 here in March, I think? I think so. So we got his record out here on display, the Woe Mule record, legendary Eastern Kentucky old time album. And we'll try to do these here from my room, as many of these as we can, because I'll have also have plenty of old timey and country records and all that sort of stuff. Tons of stuff like that we can even dive into if we're going to be doing this once a week till March. I even have my little desk over here with my own little archival recordings of banjo players and stuff, and hopefully I can either share them with you somehow, or we can definitely use them as learning tools somehow or another.
John, are you getting a lot of autograph requests for being on Tyler Childers' album?
I keep it on the down low, really, because I'm known around these parts for doing tattoos. You know, it's like my guy over here is a mechanic. The mouth of the holler. I've got this my old hot rod. I don't know if you ever saw it around Cowan, that old Oldsmobile I got. This guy over here is a pretty cool guy. He came in the shop one day and he was talking cars, and I like hearing someone talk about their profession like they love it. You know what I mean? The way I will talk about my profession to people, you know. And I was like, man, that guy sounds like the kind of guy you want working on your car, because he really loves working on cars. Like he's fascinated and loves it. And I'm over there, you know, so I hook up with him, and turns out he's just right here at the mouth of my holler. And he took over a garage that was kind of dilapidated. He's really bringing it up. And he, and he's been working on the cars and stuff. And there was something when the album came out, I said, man, so we were just having a casual conversation. He was like, oh yeah, man, I like to get on my side by side and hit the hills and listen to Tyler Childers and all that stuff. And I said, well, did you hear that new record? You know, I thought, well, I'll bring it up to him. He was like, he didn't even know it was even out. And I was like, well, it's on, you know, digital right now. So, and then he was like, no way. He couldn't believe it that, you know, because I just, you know, I like hanging out there at their garage and stuff. I almost said if I wasn't a tattooer, maybe I would have been under the hood of cars and stuff like that all the time. I don't know. I make a lot of friends who are mechanics, and I have my own little mechanic project going on right now. Which due to all the pandemic stuff, I've really gotten a lot of headway on my car project, because I haven't had nothing else to do and nothing to spend my money on. So it's hanging out in the garage, you know, turning bolts and all that sort of stuff. So let me make sure everybody is there plenty of folks on here? Is everybody ready to like roll on this here? Let me start teaching y'all a few little things. This can be awkward, you know. I'm used to seeing faces and stuff. Right now I see myself in a little square, and I see Tony here. I don't see anybody else, nor I hear anybody else, but I've hit my button here and I see that you all are out there. So I appreciate you guys for coming to this and doing this and signing up and supporting Cowan Creek Mountain Music School. Carla Gover has been doing a lot of work to make all these things happen. And make sure next time you see her to thank her for all the work she's put in to making this stuff happen. Carla's a good friend of mine, and we also share a similar banjo mentor, and Lee Sexton was also her banjo mentor. But we'll start out with a little tune, doing some basic stuff here. I had a couple of tunes in mind, actually, that are simple tunes, but maybe they're not super popular tunes. Well, one of them is. Everybody's heard of a tune called Callahan. Go ahead, you raise your hand.
John, it sounds like your banjo is not in G.
I can check it with a tuner. I might be like in G flat or something. So. F sharp. Yeah, I was like a half step flat. Yeah, I appreciate that. During the for all those Lonesome John videos that I made when the shop was shut down and stuff, some of the people would respond and say, well, you're a tad sharper than G. I really sometimes hate tuning with the tuner because it's like, it's good for getting you back where you belong, you know. But sometimes waiting on it to respond just drives me crazy.
Well, you always say start out at D and then go to your other tunings. I mean, start out at G and then go to your other tunings.
Yeah, we usually kind of do that. That tends to be my own little protocol. I tend to look at the tunings as like, I visualize like a path in my head. Like we walk down this path and then it leads to these other couple of tunes or other tunings. And I kind of try to approach it of maybe playing in the next tuning. That's the easiest to get to. Get in there. There we go. Yeah, I was a half step. So yeah, I was going to show you a little tune called Callahan. That is a version of Jack Bunch's Uncle Henry, actually. There's another project they put together of Uncle Henry's music. And Callahan, I thought would be a good introduction song. I'm always starting around with hook and line and teaching people that. But we'll do, I was trying to think of some other stuff, maybe in G, that would be a good introduction to some of the advanced techniques that we're going to explore here in our banjo class. With that being said here, Callahan, the way he would play Callahan involves a few little things. Like one of the things I always teach people at the beginning of, I assume you know how to do a downstroke or whatever, or what we are going to refer to in our class as overhand. So I'll just play it through for you a few little times and just let you try to pick up on a few things and then just kind of get the sound of things. I'll just get kind of rolling. Callahan, it's a pretty basic tune. Let's see, what's my phone trying to tell me here? All right, sorry, a little technical thing with the phone. A few little messages of people who didn't get a login email. There you are. Is he on there? No. I don't know who. I saw a few people didn't get a login email. I'm getting these messages. Hold on. Are you there? I just told him to holler at Carla. I don't know how you all got in here, to be honest. I received the link too, or something like that, and I hope this is all going right. So Callahan, there's a story behind the tune Callahan. The tune got its name from the story, so it was probably another tune before it got the name Callahan. Callahan was like, I don't know the name of the guy who played the tune, but his name might have been Callahan, but he was about to be hung. It was a man about to be hung, and they told him he could play one more tune before they hung him, and that was the tune he played. And his name might have been Callahan. You could talk to somebody like Bruce Green or somebody like that. He could probably tell you the real story. But the song comes in a lot of different versions, a lot of different forms, and that's kind of a version that I concocted between Uncle Henry and and the way I learned it from Lee, because Lee plays Callahan, and when we always incorporated that tune in our sets, and we played at square dances up at Carcassonne. And if you've never been to a Carcassonne square dance, then maybe when all this stuff is over and people actually dance again, come and see us. Well, I don't really play it. My friend Jack, who was also brought up under Lee, and my friend Sean Stamper, they got a band and they've been playing it now for the last few years. But me and Lee played it pretty steady for a couple years going there. And Callahan was always one of our tunes because it was a good, easy tune to kind of keep rolling, keep people dancing and all that stuff. So just two little parts in Callahan. I'm using it as an intro to the advanced class because I'm assuming everybody can do the downstroke, and I'm even assuming everybody could maybe do the drop thumb. Let me try to get my... Let me try to get something here. I'm just adjusting this. Okay, I like this screen better because I can see some of y'all now. I was just kind of seeing black, and I felt like I was just sitting in the dark. Okay, this is the way this is supposed to work. Okay, my bad. So hi, I see y'all now. Hi. See more of y'all. Yeah, excellent. Okay, so here we go. So Callahan, I assume many of y'all can maybe drop thumb, basic stuff like that, basic overhand. But a few things that I tend to do, that I've picked on up on from a few old timers, is some techniques that we like to explore in this class. So one is I call it the back thumb. I don't know what anybody else ever called it, a thumb rake, or because there's a different ways to do it. There's a way where you do rake and make you strum the strings, and then it's kind of one of those things like, you remember when you first kind of start playing the banjo and you're kind of just like all over the place? So bringing that back thumb into control allows you to also hit some melody notes on it and pick a few individual strings, which does take some practice and some time. But let me back up. The other little key component to this style of playing that is going to be essential to you developing this is a left-handed pluck, or it's sort of like an East Kentucky roll, where it's like you take this and you turn it into this. It's basically a phantom pull-off. Does that make sense? So you're pulling off a string that you're not picking on. And what this allows you to do is just, and you can do it anywhere. So if you keep that in mind, you can do little things. Well, I got another tune that I can show you some like advanced ways of doing that. But there's the pluck, the back thumb. We'll stop it at those two things for now to sort of look at while we're playing Callahan. So Callahan has this opening part, and your right hand, for me, my right hand has to do a little something funky or different. So instead of maybe like, here's the thing, you can play this stuff what I call straight. You can play this stuff using these back thumbs and things and all this stuff. So if I were to play it straight, here's how the song would sound. I'm doing this thing called double noting that's kind of real important to getting some more, the idea is to get more sound out of the banjo, kind of keep all the strings ringing. So you're like that. So there was some drop thumbs in there. And all it is just a hammer up to the 5th string. Hammer on the 2nd, kind of like, you're shortening bread or something. I'll put these two fingers together right here. So I got a little chord. It's an old Lee Boy trick. It's like a D chord. It's on your 7th fret. You can hit the 2 strings here. Throw a little drop thumb in there. Right. So, and then it's just. If you know you're shortening breads and all that sort of stuff, you probably got that little lick down. I'll throw a drop thumb in there. And another thing that I picked up from Lee is actually having, learning to get a little bit of finger independence between your first and middle finger, your index and middle finger. We'll be exploring that as we go out through this. But there's something that I really observed from actually finally, talking Lee and playing some overhand tunes for me, post Coon biting his finger off or thumb belt off incident. I've been able to get him to do some drop thumb stuff for me, and I realized that Lee's drop thumb lick was very much striking an inner string with the index finger, and then sometimes using the middle finger to go down here to finish out the lick. So to go like. So you're like using these 2 fingers. And it comes in handy with a lot of things. It's just stuff to try to notice, little techniques that you notice that I use. So here, let's throw this back thumb and let's see how the back thumb works for a tune like this. So the back thumb is a good way to start practicing it is usually like the opening of a phrase, because you usually end a phrase sometimes with a little bit of a rest. So it gives your hand a second to sort of like get ready. So whereas before this tune went, now we're going to go. We're going to do that. So we're going to have two back thumbs where we start this tune. I exaggerate it just so you can see that it's happening. So it's like back thumb here. So on this time around, my hand is not really in a good spot for a back thumb. So I go, and I go all the way down, come back up on it with my thumb. So like that. So I start. My bad, I messed it up. So also you're going to start thinking about using the thumb string to accentuate this note in a way. So you're going to have like a see how I'm accentuating this note by using just sort of like that. So you don't even have to go to that note. So now that I'm thinking about the note melody here, it's messing me up. So basically what I'm doing is it's different every time. I mean, I always notice this when I'm doing a lesson, is that how depending, you know what I mean? I don't, it's like it's something I have no control over, of where I start or end, or maybe even where I choose, or where am I, where I throw in these back thumbs, if that makes any sense. So I notice that I'll slow it down and do it one way. And then once I speed up, I sort of start getting a little bit different. And I also, his uncle has this little weird variation on the melody sometimes that he does on this fifth string where he goes. I've heard that in some old like versions of the cuckoo, like on those old the African American banjo album with Joe Thompson and John Snipes, those guys, and they would do the cuckoo with the little like something like that, and I feel like that's a similar little lick to go. I'm kind of exaggerating, but you should really, it should sound more like this. So, any questions? Anybody about any of that? The idea is to get to the tune. You know what I mean? The main thing is just to get to tune and just kind of get it swimming around your head and play with it as much as you feel you need to play or want to play with it.
John, can I ask one question?
Yeah.
How's it going?
How's things in Brooklyn? Are you still in Brooklyn?
No, I moved to Asbury Park, New Jersey. I got a job teaching music at the Jersey Shore.
So, keep my little A little keepsake.
Oh my God, I'm gonna like cry on camera here. That's awesome, dude. Well, it's nice to see you, man. I appreciate you doing this so much.
Stays in the window up there. The light hits it, you know.
Yeah. Well, you know, people are like, that guy knows his wine when you do that. It's good to see it. Can you just go over the walk down when you said it's like almost like a shortened bread riff? But when you walk back down, can you just go over that real quick again?
Get closer. Just however you feel like doing it, whether it's the last time you're going to do it or the first time you're doing it, you're going to do it different. Right. You know what I mean? So I always do those little. And I like to set myself up on that tune for a little. You know, you don't the low part to this tune is a lot like Lee's, where it just goes. So it's just it's all on the second fret. So pull off on the first string, and then on the third string. So it's just basically that. So the little things that I add to it when I'm playing would be actually a back thumb once again, but on the bass string. Now this is when this to me has taken me a little while, and still I sometimes don't do it the way I would like to do it. So it's like a. And then this is where that using two fingers for your overhand. So, my bad. I'm actually, when I'm hitting that note, I'm using my middle finger. And then that next note, I'm using my index finger, so. And this finger becomes like my little flicky finger. I practice it like this. The best way to practice doing that rhythm is just to try to practice isolating this finger maybe on the bass string, and then use this finger only to strum. So like. You can lock them together to try first. And you start kind of just like. So when I'm doing the strums, you know, some people ask me, you know, what fingers do you use? You know, I literally sometimes use every finger on this hand, you know, on my right hand to do stuff like that, or you know, when certain things need done, you know. There's even the one that starts like there's like a rake that I use sometimes that starts with the pinky, and you just kind of go through all four fingers. We'll encounter a tune that does that, but it's like I use it on like the cuckoo or something like that. Those long, so you're just running every finger through it, and then that little rhythm is. Learn this next tune. Actually, I got 3 tunes in mind today. The other one, Hey John, B, Where'd You Get Your Britches, uses this little lick that's like a, where really to get the full effect, you kind of learn sort of how to do this little. It's that thing that I'm showing you this. So to play through Callahan again, it's more like, I'll play it through slow. And all it is bottom. There's so many tunes that I feel like that tune kind of like don't play right after that tune. Because you'll start playing Callahan again all of a sudden. You know those tunes, anybody familiar with stuff like that? You start playing and then next thing you know, you're back to playing the tune you were playing like 10 minutes ago on accident. That's how I get late at night sometimes. If I'm sitting out and around the garage, I'll get done working on a project, grab the banjo and just start playing, and all these songs end up just kind of weaving together all the time. It's really a fun way to play, I think, just to not think about them so much as like this tune and it's played like this and this tune goes like this. I think it's important to make them your own. And that was what I learned from both Lee and George, and about every other banjo player I met in these parts seemed to have their own little way of doing it. You can tell who learned from who. You can tell who maybe spent more time going to festivals. You can spend more. You can tell. And there's old time banjo players of all different little walks of life. There's guys like me who spent more time rocking and rolling as a youth. There's guys who came up in bluegrass and are attached to this. There's people who are like folk singers and attached to this. And then there's the people that like to go to the dances and stuff, that get attached to this. And that's what I think is interesting about it. And you pick up and all these different walks of life from people and where they grew up or whatever seems to bring something different to the way the banjo sounds. And you can find that. I'm sure you can find it wherever, all over, wherever you're from. But there's people like Lee who you can tell heavily influenced by bluegrass. And then it's like the other side of the coin would be like George, who just was able to get a lot of his neighbors to teach him a lot of old tricks and stuff. So Callahan, again, let's see, that thumb rake. If I do this, how about this for a minute? Here's something to notice. Notice that I've noticed this because it's almost like I'm giving myself a lesson because I can see a little corner of myself up here. When I do that thumb rake, my arm changes. You see that? Do y'all notice that? Notice that my elbow does a little like. These techniques for me allow you to bring more rhythm to the banjo. The difference would be. That's what I call like straight, one finger. The difference between that and myself and incorporating some of these little tricks is. So you're utilizing the open tuning of the banjo to your advantage to get sometimes more little straggly notes and more rhythm out of the instrument, more sound and volume. I like feeling the banjo kind of, I like really, really feeling it. Let's see, any questions here? I'm gonna swap. Go ahead. Cynthia.
So I really want to get this right hand thing. So when I come up, so think of like down strum. That up takes the place of one down strum. and then I'm right back to this movement.
It usually takes the place of a one of just the like, so like you got your boom chukka. It usually will take the place of the boom, the one.
Then I'm right back into that boom chicka pattern.
Here's a good way to practice it. I like using a hammer-on to practice with it for some reason or another, because it comes real in handy, really good like that. So I'll practice it like this. You know, we'll use this song to practice it. It's a good song to practice this. So you can just go. So it's like, it's almost like a good pickup note. You know what I mean? It's almost like just before the first note. So it's like a. So to get to it out of the, you know, so to do it in the middle of the phrase, you would do it like this. It goes against your brain for a little bit until you get it, because you're when I'm teaching people to do the basic, just get the basic overhand technique down, I usually teach them to use the thumb to bring their hand back up to be ready. So in this case, you're using the thumb to drop back down, so you get ready for that. And you might catch a rhythm on the way, depending on the song, I guess. And then sometimes, so here's a case where I would use it to. So I didn't do a bum ditty. I didn't do the ditty. I just did a strum and come back up. So it took the place. So I went. I didn't go. I didn't do that. I went. Because this just doesn't feel natural. I can't do it. It's harder to do that. You know what I mean? And sometimes it happens, depending on the song, you know. But a lot of the times I end up. Play it if I'll just play it and just play along. You know, the important thing is to play is just to get the tune. You know, once you have the tune real good, you know, then all this other stuff will come a little more natural. I would suggest taking any of these techniques, if they're really new to you, add them to tunes you already know, and see how it kind of improves it can enrich, you know, tunes that you've forgotten about. Old tunes that just kind of lying around in the brain somewhere that you don't play anymore because you just got sick of playing them, and then you start adding these little thingies to it, and it kind of can revive your playing again, I think. Sorry, I just scrolled through to see what I can see. All right, so Callahan. Let's see how we're on the time. Okay. This goes to 8:30, or does it matter? Or we can just we'll wrap up, you know, as we're ready. I figure I'd cover maybe 3 tunes or something like that. You know, we can. The other thing we really want to get practicing on is what we call our Kentucky two-finger style banjo playing. If you're not familiar with that, I've made some videos with I did this Lonesome John's banjo project when my shop was shut down. I don't know how many of y'all were involved with that or joined that Facebook group. It was just a way to me to generate a little bit of income when I couldn't go to work due to the pandemic. And so I made a web group actually, and it's just kind of devoted to me sharing banjo stuff. And then it kind of turned into a nice little community of just kind of like a way to carry on a conversation about this sort of stuff throughout the year, you know, and since and it's been really helpful for me to not get caught up in getting on my phone and going down the bad channels, you know what I mean, of everything, and just having something that maybe I can go to and let's see if somebody shared a banjo tune today or something like that, you know. So I made a bunch of videos for that, including one that I really think is a good intro to Eastern Kentucky two-finger style banjo playing. And I'll see if I can't provide you guys with a link to that. It's a YouTube video, but it's like an unlisted YouTube video, if that makes sense. And I'll figure out a way to make it to where it's might be unlisted for a while, because it's been on there for a while. You know what I mean? So you know, but we're not going to actually do a two-finger song today. I wanted to play around with just these techniques here, keep it kind of not too all over the board for the first lesson. Does anybody have any questions about Callahan here before I maybe get into another tune? No. I thought also we'd get into. I always teach hook and line. You know, and I did the little workshop a while back, and hook and line is like there's a video. I think there's a Cowan recording. Tony was saying he watched it, and after it was already done, so you may be able to go back and watch it. Of me teaching hook and line, and hook and line is like that basic tune where a lot of different tunes come from. Well, there's a guy named Ray Sloan from Knott County, and Ray had a tune that he played that was called Jake Leg, and he played it in G. And I first learned it to play it on the fiddle, actually, because it was kind of described to me as well, Ray was still kind of around when I moved back to Knott County, and he described you know, the playing of Jake Leg as a way for a fiddler to practice their shuffle. If that makes, because the song is basically, it's like a leather breeches, like for beginners is why I don't know how to say it, like a basic, but it had this part where it goes into like a D7th chord, and it plays with that for a little bit. But the fiddle is usually just kind of, it's almost like you're just shuffling on the G and then you shuffle on a D for a minute. But the song goes like this. And I'm going to use a lot of different little, I noticed when I was playing this song before the class, just kind of getting brushed up on it, that this is one to notice the left-handed plucks, like where they're coming in to do certain things, to accentuate a tune that's actually very, very simple. So the tune has two parts. The key to learning the second part is knowing that it's just a D7th chord. You know your D7th chord, which is just right there. So the second part is just knowing that that's a D7th chord, because if you play the song with somebody, it can get you in the brain for just a second, you know, and you think it's a little more complicated than what it really is, but it's really not. So Jake Leg. So it's a really basic tune. All it is. So you're going hammering on that second, doing that basic, what I call it, picking up to the G. That's what I like to refer to that as picking up to the G. It's just kind of like something you do all the time. The Cripple Creek slide, which is that 2 to 4, you know. So this has something that I really like to point out, that, you know, the importance of the slide, because you can play the tune. You could theoretically, you can play all with more open strings. For me, the slide provides you a double stop. If you play the fiddle, I don't know how many of y'all play the fiddle as well, but a double stop in fiddling is usually when you slide into a note on one string to create a unison that's in unison with the open string, if I'm thinking right. So that's the kind of thing that's happening on the banjo. You're sliding into that 4th fret on your G string, which is also this string open. So you're going sliding into that sucker, making it stand out. And then you do the backwards slide, which I really love. Is one of my favorite little overlooked little bluesy techniques where slide and pull off. Slide back in. So all it is once you get to there, it's already over. So they kind of, both parts just kind of fly by. Right, so that's that part, just in simplicity. And then the second part in simplicity is this your D7th chord, and it just goes like this. Hitting each individual note of the D chord individually there. I'm going just like that, just going back and forth. I start putting those individual little finger techniques in there, that little. Keep hitting the wrong one. But the real fun to that tune is the little the little plucks. So you kind of pluck in the notes you're sort of double stopping into. So it's like, see that little, it's like behind the index pluck. So not only am I going to double stop into that note, but I might as well pluck it too, because it's going to keep the rhythm rolling. Keep that that little, what I call the old, the East Kentucky old time roll. I guess it's because it sounds like a roll. It's not a roll like a fingering roll. It's more like a, that alternate string pull off. So what you're doing is you're doing that phantom pull off, but you're doing it kind of behind this finger. Well, I am. You could do it maybe. If you could train this finger to do it, you could. So what I'm doing is using it to fill in the spaces when the note needs to ring out. So see how I'm just keeping it in the roll. And then you can incorporate that little double stop into the little double note. Double noting and double stopping, two different things. Slide into that D, just to the one note. It's almost like you're slipping that D in there, and you don't even really know it's there. That it's a chord. So I'm throwing in even a backwards slide into the end there. Let's see. Take a minute to think about this. I even sneak a little pluck in there at the beginning. There's like a real sneaky pluck after the D part. The D part, it's the B part, but it has the D chord. There's that one little pluck. It found its way in there, just somehow, just naturally. You start learning this stuff, it naturally creeps into everything. And Tony mentioned that, it's all in. Well, there's only on that Tyler, if you want to hear my playing, there's only maybe 3 or 4 real overhand tunes on that Tyler and Childers records. Most of them was me playing 2-finger waltz style, which was really interesting and fun to play as well. Talk about an advanced but beginning. It might have, I don't know. I read something they called that Sending the Clowns tune a beginning kind of fiddle tune, but on the banjo it was very tricky learning all those. I learned what I don't remember what it was called, a diminished chord. I learned what one of those was, and I had to learn it on the banjo, diminished chord. And is that it? I done forgot it. That's it. Yeah, that's it. That chord diminished. So A diminished. Is that right? Something like that. I had to learn that. Yeah, that. It's supposed to kind of clash. I had all these weird chords, but it was fun, But it was the perfect, it was almost like it was perfect for all these 2-finger banjo stuff. All those little waltzy tunes I had to learn to play. It all flowed out so good, But back to this. That's helped me to kind of get whatever little melodies happening there. How are you feeling about this song? Do you want me to just play it some more, or ask a few you want to ask a few questions first, and then it's a real simple tune. And I encourage questions because this stuff for me, I sometimes as an artist or whatever, as a teacher, when you're trying to teach what you're doing to someone, it's hard for me to sometimes understand what I might be doing wrong or might need to break down a little more from someone, you know, if they ask the question. So feel free to ask questions. Have me explain something or whatever. Play through the tune a little more, maybe. Get it stuck in our heads. The good thing about this, I guess, will you all be able to go back and listen and stuff, and so it's automatically recorded for you guys? I mean, yeah. So we'll just play. Go ahead.
Could you play it once, just a little bit slower? Not real slow, but just a little bit slower, and then up to speed?
Sure. Yeah, we'll start it slower and we'll move it up. And I'll try to keep it simple. Don't get caught up into these things like where the back thumbs are, where the drop thumbs are, because that'll just confuse you, because they're never going to happen the same way twice. Okay. I mean, I don't have any, I've never been able to do this sort of stuff like that. The important thing is just to know that stuff, you know, that there is that stuff available, you know, that I'm doing this, you know, and that's how I learned. You know, I witnessed this stuff kind of in a very casual manner. I was never taught how to back thumb. I was like, you know, Lee, you know, and George both, they're raking that thumb up there a few times. And I've heard mention a time or two, you know, Bill Kazee mentions it on a video, something about back thumbing. And I read about it, you know what I mean? So that's how I learned it. You know, it wasn't that somebody set me down and said, this is how you do it. I just had to witness these examples and mess with it and mess with it and mess with it. So, Jake Leg, does this angle help? Hold on, I gotta get Callahan out of my brain. So there's stuff I noticed when I just decided to just play, you know. It's interesting because when you're given a lesson in Cowan, you don't get to see a little version of yourself up in the corner of your screen, you know what I mean? And it actually kind of helps with teaching, you know, because I noticed stuff that maybe I wouldn't even notice if I was just sitting here, not able to, you know, just looking at you guys. I was using back thumbs to accentuate certain parts of the song, even this, you know. See, accentuating those. what you call that? I don't know what I call it. It's just using the back thumb, you know, just trying to accentuate the rhythm, keeping the rhythm going. Questions? Questions or even
questions next week.
What tunes next week?
No, I said we'll have questions next week.
Yeah, right. That's good. You'll play with this all week long, and you'll have questions. That's good. That's kind of in a way, this would be one good positive thing that comes out of all of this would be that, you know, Cowan, we have a week just to learn. We do it all in a week. You know, I don't know how many of you all who's on here who have been to Cowan, but you know, we end up doing it all in a week. So you don't really get a minute. You don't get to digest in class before the next day. You're in a whole different tuning, doing two finger, singing, you know, and all that sort of stuff. So
I unpacked at my first class for about a year, and then I came back the next year. And I was like, all right, I got the tune.
Yeah, a year to soak in. So you have to get a week, go home and play with them. These two tunes, that's probably plenty for our class today, isn't it? Are we just meeting an hour? Is that what's scheduled? Yeah. Yeah. Use these two tunes, and like what I'll do is like the other tune I kind of had in mind. Let these simmer. You know what I mean? Let these tunes simmer in your brain a little bit, and then when we come back, I'll show you a little bit of that. Hey John, D, where'd you get your britches? And it's just a really fun song. If you get a chance to try to find it somewhere, look it up. You know, Lee plays it on his album. I'll probably will play it a little different. I don't know. Somebody may have. It's out there somewhere. Look it up. But Jake Legg and Callahan, a couple of nice little just tunes. Jake Legg comes from Ray Sloan, Knott County, and our Callahan comes from Uncle Henry Bunch of I don't know what county is London, Kentucky. That area of Kentucky. I'm not sure what county. I'll get that stuff and let you know. Do you all have any little questions before we depart?
John, can you hear me?
Yes.
Montana was able to put her lesson recording online pretty quick. So if you got any questions about how to do that, either she or Carla could definitely help you. But she had hers on later that night.
This lesson here in particular?
Yeah. So It's not too hard, but there's something to it. I don't know exactly how.
There's something to it. There's a message from Carla about something. Sending a link. I don't know. I'll try to figure it out. I think, but yeah, I will try to, hopefully this will get, I don't know how this will get posted so you can come back to it. Like I said, this is all really new to me. I appreciate you all signing up for this and doing this. Maybe time we're done, it'll be warm months and maybe we can start seeing people one day again.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you guys.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, John.
Thank you.
It's good.
Thanks. That was a lot of fun.
See y'all next week.